Good evening, YouTube. What's going on? Topic of this video tonight is, could Nathan Gary be better in coverage if he had a loaded AK-47? Oh, no, that's not the topic. Actually, the topic of today's video is Le'Veon Bell. What happened to Le'Veon Bell? It's kind of a funny story. The New York Jets happened. The end. Nah, just kidding. That's not the end of the video. But people come to me all the time. Well, they don't. But if they did, they would say, "What, 158.3. What happened to Le'Veon Bell? Why did he falter in New York when he was so successful in Pittsburgh?" Here's the reason why, and it's pretty simple. It's actually not that simple. You know what a lot of people would say? A lot of people pose this narrative that Pittsburgh's offensive line was so much better than the New York Jets. And it was. I mean, Pittsburgh has Villanueva, who the Eagles had, by the way, and cut. They have Marquise Pouncey, who's like an all-pro center. Guard. David DeCastro is a guard. What? I feel like such an idiot, but yeah, David DeCastro, Marquise Pouncey, and Alejandro Villanueva. You got three all-pro linemen right there, and then you got two guys that I'm blanking on the names. They're very good as well. When we talk about the New York Jets, they don't really have a great offensive line. And last year that was the case. 2018 that was the case. Excuse me. Nourishment. But this year, what I've seen in film and looking at the stats of their offensive line, Le'Veon Bell's just missing the holes epically. There was some highlights I was watching, and I think it was last week, and Le'Veon Bell had a wide open hole, and he could have ran for like an easy first down. Ran right into his lineman like he was Mark Sanchez. And then he kind of stuttered and tried to get around him and got gobbled up for a loss. Now, that's pretty much been... I think that was the last straw because Le'Veon Bell, if I look up his stats real quick, it's pretty... This is going to be scary. Le'Veon Bell's stats this year. I should have done this before the video. 6 attempts for 14 yards against Buffalo. 13 attempts for 60 yards against Arizona in week 1, or last week. That was his only 2 games this year. And I'm kind of surprised after that stat line that they cut him after that. There's probably more to it, but I know it must have been against Buffalo. He ran right into his offensive lineman. In week 1, they weren't that good. I mean, their offensive line was pretty garbage. They had Matt Khalil, who just came in, who was a pretty serviceable offensive lineman at Minnesota. Very good for many years. He's kind of up there in years. And I think it, but he's still a very good offensive lineman. But I'm looking at the stats from Football Outsiders 2020 offensive line rankings. Okay. So, alright, I'm looking at these stats. The Jets rank 19th, which is pretty... It's like the lower half of the league. But I'm looking at these stats. Let's see. Power success. I'm sorry, what am I doing? I'm doing this without glasses, but I can't do the video without my glasses because it glares with the freaking light. I shouldn't stare into the light. I have astigmatism. I'm going to see that for days. Alright. So you look at stats like open field yards, they're the worst in the league. Open field rank, they're the worst in the league. And what that says to me is that Le'Veon Bell can't get to the open field because he just can't find the hole. And I don't know why that is, because a veteran running back would be more patient, you would think, but he's just running into defenders, or he's running into his own offensive line. So, and then adjusted line yards. The New York Jets they're 19th again. So, is it really a bad offensive line? Because they have the worst open field yards. They are one of the worst teams in getting to the second level and getting second level yards. They only are ahead of the New York Giants. I don't think that says to me that the offensive line's bad. That's just either bad scheme or a running back that just can't get to that second level, just can't get past that first line of defense. If you're an offensive lineman, they can't take the ball from you and get the touchdown. You got to find the hole, you got to hit it, and you got to get your yards. And that's not what the Jets are doing. That's not what Le'Veon Bell did. Now he had to be the fall guy because his contract was ridiculous. But it was obvious to everyone he didn't play up to it. And that brings me to my next question. Was this tenure at the Jets so bad that he's not signable, he won't be able to land with another team? I think that's a question you really have to ask. Is he going to be worth the risk, even at, let's say, $1 million a year? Is that going to be worth the risk to your team? I mean, is the money drop going to be so significant that he's going to turn into a malcontent? I heard a lot of Steeler fans say, why not? Let's bring him back. I mean, I don't see that being a good option unless James Conner's hurt, or unless I think they should stick with their James Connors and some of your younger guys at the running back position. Le'Veon Bell just ruins your flow. It's not like Jay Ajayi, who played with Miami and he was talented at the time, was just looking to play on a winner and prove himself, which he did. It's not like that. Le'Veon Bell earned so much. He was clearly chasing the money. He's made so much money in this league. Is he going to be able to put all that aside and get back to his old ways? I mean, he's up there in age. He's 28 years old. So it's going to be hard to convince a team of any sort of respectability to sign him. That's just me. And my philosophy is, I look at the New England Patriots, and I look at a team that doesn't spend a lot of money in the running back position, completely to the opposite of what Chip Kelly did, who just spent all his cap money on running backs, which is, I don't think the way to go. Is the running back position that valuable enough? Is that valuable enough to win you a Super Bowl? A lot of times, no. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles had a great in 2017 had a great depth at running back, but those guys were not making a lot of money. I mean, who's their highest paid running back at the time? LeGarrette Blount on a 1-year deal? Come on. I mean, I don't think any team can expect to win a Super Bowl while paying your running back $10, $15, $25 million a year. That doesn't happen. because running backs have a shelf life, and they have a shelf life like milk. They hit 30, and it's all downhill from there. Sometimes they hit 27, and they're done. Sometimes it's like Todd Gurley was, oh my God, he's going to be the best running back for 10 years. Now we're like, oh my God, this is the last year Todd Gurley's going to play before he retires because of the arthritis in his knee. And he's younger than Le'Veon Bell. So that speaks to the value of that position. You look at the New England Patriots, they get like guys like Sony Michel. They got 5 years out of James White on his rookie deal, gone. Dion Lewis, they signed him on the cheap. Then he got his money in Tennessee, gone. I mean, that's the way it goes. I think most respectable teams, even the Green Bay Packers, the 1 year they won the Super Bowl, I think Ryan Grant was a running back, and James White was a running back. I'm blanking on the actual name. And they tried having that running back with Eddie Lacy, and he was done at 27. So that's what happens. The good teams know, the smart teams know. You don't spend that kind of capital on a running back. Look at the New York Giants. They thought Saquon Barkley was going to change everything. He was going to change everything. The offensive line's terrible. We don't know what's going to happen with Eli Manning. Our defense is kind of piecemeal. Saquon's going to change the game for us. We're going to win the NFC East. 9-7, baby. Nope, they didn't even finish close. And it goes to show. I mean, he has that injury this year. I mean, can he come back from that? Are we already talking about the end of Saquon Barkley? That could be a real thought right now. Because he's hurt. Because he's already had a lot he's carried a lot of the load for the Giants. It's realistic to think that he's not going to be the same. So you don't, in the modern NFL, the smart teams figured out you don't spend that much capital at the running back position. You just don't. It's tried and true. So, I mean, that's just, I think the Le'Veon Bell, that's just a lesson to every NFL team out there. Listen, it's great, it's helpful, and you do need a good running back to take you to the next level in this league. At the same time, if you overpay a running back, it's going to hurt your franchise. And maybe the Dallas Cowboys are the exception, but I mean, do you think Ezekiel Elliott is going to be the difference between the Cowboys being 9-7 and a Super Bowl winner? Probably not. I would think the thing that takes them to the next level is their defense improve. Is their, how good's their quarterback going to be this year? Falls on that. I mean, if the Cowboys didn't have a Dak Prescott or an Andy Dalton, didn't have the wide receivers, didn't have their tight ends, offensive line, their defense is not as good this year. They were a lot better last year, but I mean, if let's say they improved, or if let's say their defense was all right. Let's say their defense is where they were at now. Where would they be? They'd probably be 3-13, and that's the reality. Running back, it's not an overrated position, but it's not a position you want to overpay, and that's just the fact. Le'Veon Bell is a lesson in all that. Saquon Barkley might be a lesson in that. Chip Kelly in 2015 giving all that money to DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews is a lesson in that. They failed massively overvaluing the running back position. This isn't fantasy football where you got to have 3-star running backs and you win the league. This is real football. There's real money involved. Millions of dollars are at stake. You have to take that into account, and you have to divide up your salary, your budget, in the right places, in the most important places, as best as you can. And that's what we have to take from this, and that's what we have to learn from this. The Le'Veon Bell failed experiment in New York, and it's hard to see him replicating the success he had in Pittsburgh. It just is, because it's not like he's shot, but it's almost, he's going to need a lot of help. He's at best a complimentary running back, and you don't pay that kind of money to that. So that's the lesson we learned today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and comment. Feel free to put your hate comments, roast me, whatever. But I'm still going to spit facts. This is 158.3, and I've been perfect. See ya.